Every week, we bring you experts who guide us on different forms of investment. This week, it's all about gold.
Thanks, Pranav. We have our favorite Aarti Krishnan back with us today. She is the head of Hindu Business Line's Research Bureau. Welcome, Aarti.
Nice to be back.
Aarti, I heard the Indian government just recently bought 200 metric tons of gold from the IMF, and that's causing some havoc in the gold markets. Tell us about that.
It's slightly difficult to say where gold prices are headed for the long run because there are too many factors affecting gold prices. But what has actually led to this recent record being made is actually central bank buying. Actually, the event of RBI buying 200 tons of gold, that actually was the tipping point which pushed gold prices beyond their earlier lifetime highs. What's basically been happening is India imports much of its gold requirements. So domestic prices are basically pegged to international prices. International prices recently made a record. That happened because of the central banks deciding to buy gold on a weakening US dollar. Typically, the US dollar has been on a gentle slide throughout this year because of US economic troubles as well as all the spending that they've been putting into the economy. So there are worries about whether the deficit is getting out of hand in the US and whether that will weaken the value of the dollar over a period of time. So the dollar is not simply paper money. Actually, there are a lot of investors who hold their investments in dollar denominated assets. So the slide in the dollar has led to some kind of worry that the dollar may be on a terminal decline. So that has led to a lot of people piling onto gold as a kind of safe haven buying. Yeah.
Now, I'm an engineer, so I know about 200 metric tons of gold would probably meet about, it's a kind of 2 meter by 2 meter, kind of corner in my bedroom, right? It's not a whole lot of gold to look at, actually. So, and it's only about 6% of India's foreign reserves at this point. It leaves a whole lot of headroom there. So, and if the Indian government wants to buy more, they could, the prices could go up much higher?
Yes, I mean, it depends on whether the other central banks are done with buying gold or they still have plans to buy more. Even RBI itself hasn't indicated whether it plans to add further to its gold reserves or it's simply going to stop at this because gold, though it's been going up in the recent years, tends to be a volatile asset and no government would really like to send the signal that it's disenchanted with the dollar and would like to move to gold for good.
But clearly that seems to be the trend.
Yes, I mean they don't mind holding say 10% of their reserves in gold, but wholesale shift to gold may not happen.
So Aarti, this is a trend we are seeing at the national level, all the governments kind of buying gold. How about what counterbalances this, domestic demand for gold within our country?
It's not just domestic demand, basically it is a global demand supply equation for gold which is leading to this rise even in the domestic market. Now globally, jewellery demand does account for a huge chunk of the gold purchases because unlike other metals, say copper or zinc or steel, gold doesn't go into construction or automobile industry, it doesn't have any use as such. It is mainly of ornamental value or it is held as an investment by central banks and other investors. So globally what's been happening is jewellery demand does tend to be price sensitive. You know that in India people track gold prices very carefully and they say, oh, it's gone past 15,000, so I'll wait for it to decline and then I'll buy. So that is the reaction of jewellery buyers worldwide. Whenever prices spike very sharply, the jewellery demand does come off. In fact, if you see some of the data put out by the World Gold Council, you'll see that in the latest quarter, jewellery demand has dipped quite substantially. So the question is whether the demand can hold up even as prices keep going up. Each time gold crosses a new record, then you have this trepidation on the part of jewellery buyers as to whether they should buy now or they should wait for the prices to cool off. So that's one factor. I mean, as prices rise higher, will jewellery demand really hold up? The second factor is will investment demand, which is currently only 1/3 of the global world gold demand, will it be able to make up for any dip in jewellery demand?
How about its correlation with oil? That's also one interesting aspect. If you could throw some light on that.
Yeah, gold has historically been viewed as an inflation hedge. If you remember, the previous peak of over $800 happened during the 1979-80 oil crisis. Basically, when the whole world feared that there would be a shortage of oil and inflation would go through the roof. And what inflation essentially means is that paper money becomes less valuable. So people wonder whether they should shift from this paper money to gold or some real assets. So that is what basically establishes the linkage between gold and inflation. Whenever inflation is looking a little threatening and upbeat, people like to think that it's good to hold gold so that they can preserve the value of that money.
Right. Now, given all these facts, would you say gold is a good place to invest money?
From a traditional point of view, it is not good to invest in any asset which is at its lifetime high. That's simple common sense. However, for gold, there are so many supportive factors in terms of the central bank buying, the tight demand-supply equation, and also the fact that the sort of fear factor with investors that is still high. After last year's economic crisis, which led to so much of upheaval in the stock markets, in the bond markets, there is a lingering fear with investors that these assets may yet again go into a slump. So as long as that fear factor is there, the demand for gold will remain quite strong. So what I would suggest is that don't go and put a good portion of your portfolio in gold. Invest 5 to 10% maybe of your overall savings in gold, and do it in paperless form so that you don't incur costs in storing up gold. Third thing is just phase out your purchases. Don't go and take a plunge at the lifetime high. Maybe buy a little now when it's over $1,100, buy a little when it dips a bit, and so on.
You mentioned the word paperless there. If you could eliminate that a little bit for our audience, what does that mean?
Paperless means, essentially when Indian buyers think of buying gold, they buy huge chunky jewelry and they store it up, or they think of buying bars and coins and so on.
Right.
However, in the recent years, there have been modes where you can acquire gold in paperless form. One mode is the ETF route, that is exchange traded funds. These are closed-end mutual funds which basically buy up tons of physical gold, they store it in their lockers, and then they issue units to the equivalent value to investors. These units are listed on the stock exchanges and you can trade in them much like shares. So India has quite a few gold ETFs which are listed and are trading and are attracting fairly substantial trading volumes. Apart from this, you have commodities exchanges where you can transact in gold. The multi-commodity exchange, for example, is a fairly big exchange for trading in gold in India. There you can again buy contracts in gold for 3 months and so on. You can buy it in various grammages also. You have a 1 kg unit, you have a 100 gram unit, you have a 8 gram unit which you can buy.
Okay. Aarti, you've definitely piqued my interest. Gold, it looks like there's a whole lot to talk about on this particular topic on gold. We'll be back again to talk about this in more details. Thank you for being with us today. Pranav, back to you.
Thank you, Rajiv. Stay with us on Business Line. We'll be back with a CEO chat in just a bit.